Yeah, everybody, my name is MINOU, and today I'm going to be presenting to you the Pipit Snipit. Before I get into the video, I would just like to say that these videos take a lot of time, effort, and preparation, and so if you could go ahead and press the subscribe and like buttons below, that'd be a huge amount of help. It's free, easy, and there's no commitment. You can always unsubscribe or unlike whenever you want. Alright, so with all that said and done, let's get into the video. So, I know you see this, and you're like, what's this? Is this another thing that I have created? Yes. Now, before I get into this, though, I I have to explain to you what the Pipit Snippet is. Now, basically, it's a story that I created this month, and it's like 8 pages long. You can find it in the link in the description. Just go ahead and click on that Google Drive link, and it'll take you right to it, and you'll be able to read it whenever you want for free. It's not a Warriors fan fiction. I want to make that clear. It is about cats, but it's not a Warriors fan fiction. It is not tied into that world at all. It is very, very much its own thing with its own ways that things work. It's definitely not a Warrior Cats copy, and it is definitely not a Warrior Cats fan fiction. It is its own thing, but from a cat's point of view. So I'm going to be posting stories like the Pipit Snippet once every month in the same world with the same characters. Yeah, basically I'm going to be posting these little. Right now it's 8 pages, but I think I'm gonna put my cap at 20-page little stories, and each of them are going to have their own little scene. Now, if you go ahead and look in the story, there is a scene where Little Nugget is complaining about a fight with a pigeon. She's saying, "Oh, these pigeons are getting smarter and smarter. They really ganged up on me and stole my sandwich bread that I was eating." This was the sandwich bread. But yeah, this is a scene that I created from this story. Now, this was definitely not the focus of the story. I think these scenes are just going to be little moments that are memorable and easy to make cool little sculptures with. So, again, I sculpted this in Blender. I got the sidewalk, I made it in Blender, and then I 3D printed it and primed it. So, yeah, there's that. So, every book that I create is going to have its own scene. Let's say, for example, this pigeon conflict escalates. I cannot confirm whether that's going to happen or not. It might, but if this pigeon thing escalates, then there's going to be one where they are viciously fighting each other rather than just having their little scuffle. Or, for example, let's say there's a scene in which Macda and Little Nugget are having an argument. Or let's say that they're running away from something. Then you would see Little Nugget and Macda running away from something, if that was a scene that is worth putting into a 3D print. Here, I got an extra light so that you guys can see the detail a little bit better. You see there's her little eyes and her little nose. This is Little Nugget, if I didn't mention. This is Little Nugget, who is Pipit's good friend. And yeah, she got into a fight with a pigeon, a little scrap. And the pigeons actually came out on top, is the funny thing. This story is set in a city. I'm pretty sure that city is Philadelphia. I haven't quite made up my mind yet, but it's a city in North America. There's snow. That was an important factor for me. I want there to be snow. And yeah, for now, they're kind of just chilling, going through everyday city experiences. Of course, the things that happened in the Pipit Snippet. Of course, the things that happened in the Pipit Snippet, the toppling, was not exactly normal, but generally, it's all stuff cats have seen before, right? Demolition has happened before, but something's coming, and something big's coming. And things are going to change for every single animal in the city, in the world, forever, and it's never going to be the same after that. So, something big's coming. Keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm going to do a very, very brief summary of each of the characters and what I plan to do with this world. The first character and the most noteworthy, as of right now, is Pipit. He is the point of view character for this story, as the title implies, and he is, he's your average street cat. He doesn't have a spectacular backstory, just kind of like the normal stuff. He's street savvy, but not extremely skilled. He's kind of just like a normal dude, but there's more going on inside of his head. He's not very well spoken, so from the outside he just seems like absolute cardboard, but he really isn't. So for now, not much turmoil is going on in his head. Some, but not much. It's going to get much worse. So Pipit is generally a kind, caring cat who cares about his friends, but the main thing for Pipit is that he wants glory in a way. It's kind of strange. He doesn't want it just for the recognition. He doesn't want cats to know who he is necessarily. He just wants to matter to cats, because he's so used to just getting food, finding water, sleeping. That's all he has time to do because he's a street cat and there's not that much fresh water inside of a city, and you have to strike it really lucky to be able to find food quickly. So most of the time, except for some of the moments where most of these stories are happening, he's just too busy to do much of anything. He spends time with friends when he can. He does what he can to save time, but that usually is not enough, and he's just left most of the time with a full, like, he never, he's always looking for food, but somehow he's always hungry. He's always looking for water, but somehow he's always thirsty. He's always sleeping, but somehow he's always tired. And he never has time to do anything. He wants to do something that's remarkable, and he wants the world to miss him when he's gone. He wants cats to blink when he dies. He wants cats to notice that he's dead. And not just his friends, because, having friends and foraging partners, that's normal. That's normal cat business. He wants to be extraordinary. He wants to be cool, I guess. He wants to do cool things. He wants to do something unique that not many cats have done before. He wants to make an impact on something. And he's not going to be satisfied until he gets that. He's in his mind, he's not. If he gets the chance to do something cool, he will do it. And sometimes that's at the expense of his friends. Sometimes, a lot of the time, actually, it's at the expense of himself. He can be easily manipulated that way by a very good manipulator who promises him that he will be making a difference and doing the right thing. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. He has other things going on in there. He gets really frustrated when people are being useless. Like, he doesn't like cats he just can't stand cats who can't take care of themselves in a way. Not in a, that sounds really bad, but trust me. Basically, in the city, you always have to be looking for food, know how to get food, know how to find good, clean water, all that stuff, or else you're going to die. And he spends his entire life doing that. And so if he sees, for example, a kitty pet or maybe a young kitten, and he has to take care of that kitty pet or young kitten, I don't know, he will have difficulty. He will get very annoyed very easily. Like, how do you not know how to do that? These are just things, everyday basics. It's like knowing how to clip your fingernails to him. And also, like, he's frustrated because he doesn't really realize how skilled he is and how much trouble he goes through to take care of himself and how difficult it is. It's just kind of like everyday stuff to him, annoying stuff that gets in the way, but everyday stuff in the end. But I think if he has to take care of somebody who can't take care of themselves, maybe, I think if it's a wounded cat, it's different. But if it's like a younger cat or a cat who never grew up on the streets, maybe a forest cat, maybe a kitty pet, he will be very frustrated because he just feels, I don't know, but he'll feel frustrated is the point, because he's always doing that stuff and he just doesn't understand how people cannot know how to do this stuff. He wants to do more than this. For him, knowing how to do these things and doing these things and being able to do these things, they're the basics, they're the foundation. Like, it's the most lame you could get. It's just like normal stuff. And he wants to go above and beyond, but that's what's limiting him. But that's what's stopping him from going above and beyond is the normal stuff. And now these people don't even know how to do the normal stuff. To them, the normal stuff is the extraordinary things, and that just doesn't make sense to him. It just, I don't know, it's something about it bothers him. So there's Pipit. I spent way too long on that. But now let's go on to Little Nugget. I'll really try and keep these short now because that was way too long. Little Nugget, she is always arguing. She has a big stick in her eye, in the sense, like, there's a saying that I hear just constantly where if you're criticizing someone for something you also do yourself, it's like a metaphor for she's a hypocrite. She's a hypocrite, and she is always looking at other people's problems and not really thinking about her own problems. So she's always like being like, oh, you're so dumb, and she I wouldn't call it bullying, and she doesn't consider it to be bullying, but she's just very rough with her vocabulary. She has very rough vocabulary, and she considers like insulting people and making fun of people just normal social interaction. And I think most of her friends just see it as normal social interaction because they're so used to it. But basically, yeah, she's always following around Macduh. They're like two peas in a pod. They're always stuck together. Mostly Macduh doesn't care if Little Nugget's there or not. I mean, he does, but like not that much. In a hard situation, they'd stick together no matter what. But for the most part, Macduh doesn't really care whether she's there or not. Whereas Little Nugget is always just attached to him. She's always just like following him everywhere. And most of the time she's yelling at him for being an idiot. So it's very hypocritical that she's the one following him when she also claims that she really doesn't like him because he's a big doofus. But I don't know. I don't know. That's just how she acts. And she also makes a big deal out of things. She likes to make drama and she likes to complain about things. But she's very capable as a cat. There are some other character details, but I want to save that for another book. Alright, so now we'll get into Macduh, and I think Sable will be really quick because Sable is not a major character at all just yet. Macduh, he's kind of like really chill. He's always just like relaxing. He has a very just like just whatever attitude. His life is just as hard as all the other cats' lives, but he complains much less. He makes much less of a big deal of it. Another thing about Pipit is that he'll often like make big speeches or something and like make things seem really intense when they're not really, because he wants it to be intense, because he wants to prove himself. You know, he wants to sometimes he makes the situation more intense and dramatic than it actually seems because he wants it to be that way so he can prove himself to himself and the world. But Macduh doesn't do any of that. He doesn't complain and he doesn't make big speeches and stuff. He's just kind of like, eh. He cares about things and he's like passionate and like compassionate, and he cares about his friends. He just doesn't show it. He's very bad at being mushy. He's very bad at complaining. He doesn't talk much. He's a man of few words. He's grateful when you give him things, and he has a big thing for food. He's a big foodie, but he doesn't often get to exercise that passion very often. And so when someone gives him food, he's like, yes. Yeah, so he and Little Nugget are always chilling in the park whenever they're not hunting, and oftentimes they find their food in the park because the park is a great place to go because people like have picnics there and have sandwiches and take lunch breaks there. So they live in the park, and Pipit lives somewhere like a few blocks down. Sable also lives a few blocks down, but her neighborhood is a little bit more commercial, I guess. There's fewer people there. It's mostly like, I'm imagining a lot of motor shops like for cars, and I'm imagining like flower shops and stuff. Just a lot of practical shops. Not that many food places, and most of the shops there are pretty dinky. So there's not really much going on her side of the town, but she likes it because she was born there, and two, it's just the place she grew up and where she's comfortable, and she knows the area very well, and she doesn't want to leave it. So yeah, there's all their territories, there's their personalities basically. Sable, you don't have to worry about her yet. We'll get into her eventually. But yeah, I'm really excited to announce that new monthly series and also the new monthly scenes that you get to see and I get to print, and yeah. Alrighty, so if you enjoy this episode and the short story that is linked down below and the scene that just got presented to you, then please, again, leave likes, comments, subscribes, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!